This is the USA Guts podcast. I'm Ryan Scott, and that's Will Walden. We're going to be talking about some fun stuff today. All right, so first up, let's recap this IFT.
Yeah, IFT Bop won it all, huh?
Oh, Bop.
Monty Carlo, second place.
Yep.
And Worms in third. And quick shout out to Justin Verrigan, who I heard was injured.
Yeah. He ended up fully rupturing his Achilles tendon.
Man, that's a brutal injury.
Yeah. That's going to be at a minimum 6 months before he can do anything.
I challenge anybody listening to this, if you're in the Marquette area and you know Justin, buy him lunch, like send him some food or something. I can only imagine how like the impact that might make on his daily life. So
yeah, it's just when like these like big time injuries happen to people, like, oh, I broke my arm, or I hurt my knee, or I snapped my Achilles in half. Like, I always think, like, what would that do to me? And like how would that make me, like how do you come back from that? I have no idea. You just have to
surgery and rehab.
Surgery and rehab. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, he's got a long road of rehab ahead of him. But that's
maybe we can get him some like crystals or something, and do some like crystal healing.
Yeah, shout out to Justin. Hope you get better soon, man.
Yeah,
that's rough, but we're here for you, and I'm sure everybody else in the community is as well. Like I said, if you're up in the Marquette area, please buy that man some dinners or something. Like, take care of our boy Justin. Like,
yeah,
that's rough, and it's the middle of the summer too, so
yeah, that really sucks for him.
Would have been slightly better if it was like in November.
Yeah, even though he's my mortal enemy, sorry,
only
buddy.
On the field, only on the field,
off the field too. I hate that, man. I'm just kidding. I love you, buddy. Get well. All right, but as for the rest of the IFT, there were 15 teams.
Sounds about right.
I believe 15 teams. Great turnout for them. And I think that, all of the brackets went pretty smooth. Yeah.
A lot of dust.
Let's talk about that real quick. So it was at the Hancock
Driving
Park, yeah, which is like a bunch of like baseball, softball diamonds.
Yeah.
And I guess as soon as the thaw, happened up there up north, grubs just took over, and that ended up just killing all of the grass.
That's wild.
And then on top of that, like you could, like, I literally saw grubs in the ground.
Too.
It was freaky. Like, I've never seen grubs.
Maybe that's why the ground was so soft, because you're walking on a layer of grubs.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, so like that had nothing to do with anybody there, other than like all they could do is just treat it earlier. But like, I'm sure they just didn't know about it. You don't know about it until you know about it, right?
Right.
But yeah. So that caused grubs plus basically 100 people running around on a baseball field. It's gonna kick up some dust, and it was absolutely dusty. It was like the Dust Bowl up there, man. Like you'd just be walking. You can see it on camera. You would just be walking. There'd just be like little plumes of dust everywhere. I've never played anything like that, I don't think.
Yeah, it had trade-offs because it was really soft.
It would be. That's true. That's one of the saving graces there.
But I was constantly like holding my breath whenever plays were going on next to us, and the dust would like kick up and come over. And
yeah, you had to wait. Like, okay, hold on, I'm gonna take a step off this field for the cloud to pass. Yeah. All right. So one of the things that was new to the IFT was the introduction of the women's guts demo game. So basically, they had a bunch of women there that wanted to play, and so they kind of organized the game. Do you know who organized that? I think it was Rachel. Rachel and
Maybe
Jenny.
Rachel.
Rachel,
Sounds
Rachel
right.
and
I
Jenny,
mean,
both from Marquette.
they're
And
the prominent guts
yeah,
women's players.
and so I think they are the ones that kind of organized all that. And so yeah, they got two 5-woman teams, and they played to 21. My wife played.
I
She
saw
got 2
that.
bags, only
Yeah.
dumped once.
That was cool. That was
Yeah.
cool to see Megan bag it.
Dude, I tell you what, I got so hype when she bagged that first one. I was start yelling and screaming. My daughter was sitting right next to me, and she was just like, "What? Why are you yelling?" It's like, "That's my wife." It was hilarious.
Nice.
Yeah. So I can only imagine. And also, so my wife gave me some very good perspective. She was like, yeah, like when you're like, you only ever watch it from the sidelines. You're like, how do they know where the disc is going? How do they know to just run in front or to run in back, or to like, how do they know that? And then she said that like, as soon as she popped on the line, she was like, oh yeah, you just like, if you just watch their body, you know exactly where everything's happening. And she said that like that gave her a lot more perspective on watching the game, is playing it.
That's neat.
Yeah. So I was like, wow, that's pretty awesome. But yeah, I mean, I think maybe next year, rumor has it that there's going to be a 3-on-3 tournament up at the IFT. Maybe, we don't know. We'll see what kind of interest there is. But along with that is in Australia, there's talk that they're trying to organize some women's teams to go play guts.
By Australia, you're talking about the World Guts Championships.
Yep, the World
right?
Guts Championships.
Hosted by WIFDIF.
Yep, hosted by WIFDIF. And the more you think about that, like, I mean, Jenny and Rachel right there, I mean, those are 2 power players.
Yeah, and they've got a lot of women players playing Ultimate that
Yep.
Could potentially also want to play Guts.
Absolutely.
So
And-
I think I've heard a rumor that there might be multiple countries playing multiple women country gut players.
Yep.
Like,
And so this is from what I've heard through the rumor mill, aka Steve Taylor, aka the internet, is, I mean, Japan has a bunch of women that play, comparatively to anybody else. I think Thailand has women that would play. I think South Korea. And if we can get the host nation, Australia, to get a team, that's going to be 4. And if we can get good old USA of America to get themselves, at least 5, 6, maybe 7 women to play, that would be amazing. Just for the sport of guts itself,
Yeah, that would be really cool. I remember back in 2018 when I went to Japan, there were like 6 or 7 women's teams that they had in Japan. So I would definitely expect to see a Japanese women's team.
Yeah. I mean,
they have some really fierce women's guts players in Japan. There's 2 in particular that I'm thinking about that I think play on the men's team.
Yeah. I've seen a couple of videos of them, and they got some spicy backhands.
Yeah.
So yeah,
get those mechanics down, and you could throw fast too.
Yeah, throwing a backhand is not like yes, there are physical elements that will help you throw faster, being big and strong and stuff like that, but the technique itself can get you to super high places if you just have great technique.
When I watch the women's PDGA events, I'm just like, man, I want to see them throw a guts disc.
Yeah.
Those like Paige Pierce and Kristen Tartar, like they're ripping the disc. Like I bet they could throw a mean guts backhand.
Question is, can they stand on the line?
That's a different story.
Yeah, different
Defense
story.
is the other half of guts.
Absolutely.
So I think that brings us to our next segment. Let's talk about players that we think played well at the IFT.
Okay. So
like exceptionally well, like rose above their standard game maybe.
So I'll start off with saying Susie. from UP Hardwood.
Jacob Susie?
Jake, yeah, dude. He threw 2 thumbers at me. One of them hit me in the shoulder. I don't like. It didn't have like exceptional movement. It wasn't like blazing fast. I just don't know why I couldn't track it. It. I think he scored every single time that we threw at him, and that changed. I think in the second game, no, or the third game of UP Hardwood with us is, I think they beat us in the first game, right? Or was that DM Dragons? I forget. No, we faced UP Hardwood in the losers bracket. That's where we faced them.
Or not round robin?
Nope, wasn't round robin.
Okay.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember either.
Yeah. I do know that it was a knockout game. I do know that. But yeah, they made a switch. They took out one player and then they put in Susie, and he played at whip, and he scored every single shot that he threw. His thumber was just humming, and so for that, I'd put him up there with players that played really, really well.
All right, we got Jacob Susie. Who else?
All of the Black Rocks team.
Okay.
So I'm playing with them at Marquette. So I'm giving them a shout out right now.
So this opinion is biased.
A little bit. But they won. So they were in that weird mix where they had to play a 4th round robin game. But they won their 3 round robin games. And I think I talked to them afterwards. I think they had only won 1 round robin game of any game since they started playing before this tournament, and all of a sudden they've got 3 on Saturday. And they, including beating a Saturday BOP team in the first round.
That's exciting.
First or second round. And yeah, that's super exciting, especially for like a bunch of young kids. I think they're all like 20 or something. And so if they hopefully that can spur them on to practicing more, to doing, work outside of going to a practice, hitting a soccer net or whatever.
So they're the only team that beat BOP in a match or in a game.
I think so. I think so. I mean, granted, it was, BOP throwing backhands.
Sure.
But that doesn't mean that their defense went away.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that they're that it's easier.
Yeah, absolutely.
That it's easy.
Yeah.
I should say.
Yeah. And so I think that they should for sure get some props because it's their first tournament where they were winning multiple games. And so for that, that's pretty awesome. What about our boy Jake?
Jakey on
Pruitt.
the Worms, Jake Pruitt. Yeah, Jake has just magically stepped it up this year. He's his hands. He's always kind of seen backhands really well. His defense has been strong from the beginning, but in particular, the fact that his offense has been so reliable and both his backhand, forehand.
Yeah,
I do think that Jake should be on this list of people that kind of played outside of their normal zone. They stepped it up. Great. Jake had a great tournament. A lot of really important catches.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of important throws and scores. Jake really stepped it up.
Yeah, and I think his forehand is his best shot, but even when he was throwing his backhand, it was high in the zone, and
it's usually coming at a hard angle as well.
Yeah,
he's not throwing it straight at people. It's kind of neat.
I mean, it's crazy what practice can do for somebody. He's been to almost every single practice that we've had, a constant at Guts League, and he's gotten a whole lot better, and he can do it. I know other people have done it. Yeah.
Also on this list, I guess I would say Tim Meyer. I mean, he got second place. I don't know. Maybe he shouldn't be on this list because at this point, I'm just starting to expect this high of a level play from him. But he played really well. All of his 2 fingers were really low.
Super accurate.
hitting his guy, making just stellar defensive plays. Um, I think, all right, last up on the list, I think we would go with Tanner Beckman. Um, Tanner always throws like really fast, two fingers. He's very accurate. Do you have any reasons why you think he played above and beyond at this tournament?
I just think he was he was at that level consistently for every single game, and he was taking over games. He was like bringing up the level of other people, and I think that's something that can't be understated. Along with that, Al Nettle, he was on a heater, especially in the finals and the losers bracket finals. Like that dude had so much confidence, and he was hitting crazy spots with his forehand. Consistently. He ditched the 360 stuff, which I think helps him, especially be more accurate, because his weakness in throwing wasn't like that he's a bad thrower or anything. It's like every once in a while he would dump, and it was because he was doing his 360, in my opinion, versus him just doing like a straight up like run throw.
Mm-hmm.
It allowed him to, get his mechanics more in line.
Makes sense. Yeah, and there's less to go wrong when you're just throwing straight, not throwing the 360.
Mm-hmm.
When you're not spinning in a circle.
Yeah.
A lot less mechanics going on.
Yeah. So in the same vein of players that played well, what about the most underrated players? So I said, Susi.
Yeah.
He counts for underrated as well.
Okay.
I think it might be his second full season of playing. I think he might have dabbled, a little bit in the first season, as most players do, but this is his second full season.
That's crazy. He must have played hockey or something before this.
Hockey and baseball, I think.
Or both. Okay.
Yeah.
That explains it.
But yeah, I mean, the advent of high school sports, or, getting players that played a lot of high school sports, like it's apparently very valuable thing to have.
Yeah.
Especially when you're trying to pick up things. Yeah. But yes, Susi was, he really picked it up this tournament. I played with him at Wisconsin, and he played well, but like at the IFT, different level. He went up. He leveled up, if you will.
Okay. My vote for one of the most underrated players would be Tony Hella. His flipper is blisteringly fast.
Nasty. It's so nasty.
It has very late movement. And I mean, he's traditionally played with Blame the Dog. I feel like he took some time off of Guts.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe he dropped off the radar, but he was at IFT, and I mean, he gave Jake a black eye for one.
Yeah.
But also his shots were very lethal. Like they're almost uncatchable, especially with that wind. They were just really good shots. He's
very good on defense too.
I would say he's almost maybe even an S tier thrower. Like
yeah.
I don't know enough about him to like to know
if he can clean up the dumps,
the consistency.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But yeah, definitely an underrated player. Maybe I'm gonna try and pick him up.
So,
who do you got?
Well, also, Tyler Turcotte, I think, is very underrated. Super accurate, incredibly accurate. And he's throwing with a decent amount of speed when he's hitting outside man, outside hand, both sides too. Like usually when you're throwing backhand, if you're aiming one, if you're right-handed anyways, if you're, hitting, the guy on the end with spin side, like that's typically like the best place that's the easier of the two ends to hit. And he can hit both ends like with ease. And I think his defense is pretty dang good. I don't think it gets the respect that it should. He bagged Steve-O in the finals. Yeah, I think he goes under the radar sometimes. He's a silly boy, but I love him, and I think he's very worthy. So you were talking about S tier.
Mm-hmm.
Lately, that's kind of come up in a lot of conversation. Oh, they're an S tier, and like, explain what you think S tier is,
All right.
and
Well,
then and then we can talk about like what we think makes an S tier player.
okay. Yeah. I don't know if anybody is an anime fan. If you're watching this, if you've ever seen One Punch Man,
Shout out to One Punch Man.
that's kind of the. I think there's other anime skills. Also, a lot of online ranking systems for certain characters for like League of Legends, Dota, and other games as well. They always rank these characters using an S tier system. I don't know.
It's a tiered system
is
of
it like anime
people.
or yeah? It's basically at the very top. You've got A tier players. Well, it's not quite the very top yet, but I'll get to that. So you've got A, and then I like to say A plus, A minus, B plus, B minus, C, D, etc. But then above A is the S tier, and there's like a select amount of people who are in S tier, in in any game or any show. There's a limited amount of people, and it's people who are regarded as like the pinnacle, like they're the top right now.
Top
at
1%.
At this moment right now, they're like cream of the crop. And that I think can also be an S minus, S plus as well, to give a little bit more nuance to the ranking. So that being said, yeah, I mean, I think that Tony Hella's shot, like, it's like teetering on the S tier, because it's so difficult to catch.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, I think to be a true S tier offensive player, or as a player, we could break things down into defense and offense. So a player might be like an A in defense, but maybe they're an S in offense. They have a really strong shot. So for it to be an S tier thrower, I believe you need to have consistency for one. Like, you have to be able to hit your man, whether they're on the 1 spot, the 5 spot, it doesn't matter. You can't hide them from an S tier player.
Right.
They can hit their guy. And not only can they hit their guy, they're accurate. Like, they can hit in the top zone, the bottom zone. They've got that accuracy down packed. So you need consistency, accuracy, and then it just needs to be a baller shot. I mean, whether that, there's 3 qualifiers and you need to have 2 out of 3 of them, right? Speed, accuracy, or movement. So if you get a shot that's fast and it moves a lot, or it's just fast and accurate, or any combination of those 2 out of 3, I would consider you an S tier thrower. And I think there's some speculation. There's some room for speculation there. Like, because a lot of this is all opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and a lot of our opinions are based on what we feel. So I might think of Carter or Steve, like people I know their shot is just wild. It's like, it's really, really good.
Yeah.
So when I'm facing them, like that fear, maybe fear is not the right word, but like the expectation of how good that shot is going to be and how you don't want to see them coming back.
Right.
Like, those are also things that you would use to judge,
right,
like, whether it's S tier or not.
Okay.
Because, like, you're not scared. If you're not scared of their shot, maybe you might think it's like a B tier or an A tier or whatever.
Yeah.
It's going to be good. But
yeah, there are some people that's like, oh, I just see their shot. Like, I know that Derek Stone, like he always tells me, I see Carter's thumber so easily.
So to him, Carter's thumber might be not an S plus to him. Maybe it's an S minus.
Maybe. And
but
it's
all relative.
But like to other people, it's like, I don't think that they're ever going to catch Carter, like, let alone up him, and that's the way that cookie kind of crumbles. So
in defense, to tie that ranking system up, in a bow, on defense, to be an S tier player, I would say that you have to have a high percentage of bags. Bags are ups, I would say.
Right.
You have a high percentage of bags are ups. You see the disc, they're not really ever getting by you without a hand getting a hand on them. You have to have good off the line movement, like going to the right place, diving catches. Like, are you the type of player that's like the disc isn't going to you, so you jump off the line and you're running to go help your teammates.
Mm-hmm.
That's always really crucial.
So
Is there anything else?
the only thing that can beat an S tier defense would be an S tier offense consistently.
Sure.
Like an A tier offense could maybe, you know, like every once in a while, because this game is like, if you have good offense is always going to beat good defense. Like if they're 1-1, just because catching is so hard.
Catching is hard, especially if there's wind.
Yeah.
And as I said before, like wind can dramatically reduce the percentage of catches at a tournament. As we saw at IFT, I feel like there was way less defense than other tournaments I've seen, especially indoor ones where there's no wind.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, your guys' battle at the Iron Man. I mean, I think those games lasted like 50 minutes each. You guys played
so
three
much
of them.
defense.
All you guys did is just catch.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of fun. But yeah, so in terms of having, like, if you were to have like a level shot with a level defense, you know, like they're comparative to like their levels, I think offense beats it, you know, 5 out of 7 times.
Okay. That's fair. Yeah, I mean, nobody's going to be perfect. Nobody's going to have a perfect game for the most part. I mean, it'll happen. That's just a weird thing to say. No,
Yeah.
like you said, defense is hard, and there's going to be discs that go by you no matter who you are.
Yeah.
And if there isn't, like, then
That's God mode.
God mode.
We're
Yeah.
not going to talk about that.
Yeah, we won't
Yeah.
talk about that because it's never happened.
Yeah. But yeah, all right. So like, yeah, so it's literally like, so it's just a way of kind of like mentioning, like, in terms of like, oh man, dude, that dude, his defense is crazy. And I'm like, okay, like, what does that mean? It's like, well, I think it's S tier, man. Like, he's that good.
Yeah, and it could be. I mean, it could be in flux too. It could be a per tournament judgment as well. Because sometimes people are in different
Head spaces,
mental spaces, or physical spaces, or maybe like they're not used to playing in the wind.
Yep.
And so, like somebody who's typically an S tier defense might become an A tier defense. Because of the wind, or maybe the wind just makes them look like an A play.
Yeah.
Maybe they're still S tier, but like,
and it can work both ways,
no
right?
matter who you are, if you're an S tier player, you're still going to have problems when there's wind. So
okay, so give me an S tier thrower.
An S tier thrower. Well,
like
Carter Nettle, I
Yep.
would say is S plus.
Okay.
Like, I think he's one of the best throwers in Guts right now.
I think he might be the best pure offensive player.
We're just talking about offense because, well, I mean, his defense is really good.
Yeah,
as well,
it's
but
no slouch.
We're
talking about his offense.
His offense, he's putting the disc up top. He's putting it in gaps, and it's a baller shot.
Yeah,
like it bounces. It's a thumber.
Yep.
It's
speed, movement, location.
It's got all three. It's fast, and so I would say Carter is an S plus. Defense, S.
You think Carter's an S?
At least.
Okay.
I think he's an S tier defense. Like, he's great at poaching. So like, you can stick anyone by him and it doesn't matter. He'll still get the disc.
Mm-hmm.
And
if it's right at him,
usually catching it.
Yep.
And he's fast off the line.
Great offline, yeah.
He's very dependable.
Right.
He's definitely an S tier.
I'm sold.
All
Carter's pretty good.
All right.
All right. How about this? Who is somebody you would consider an S tier defensive player that, like, not Tim, not Derek Stone, not Will. Like, we know all the names. Who's somebody that's like you think they are a sneaky S tier?
A sneaky S tier.
Sneaky S tier.
Oh man, I really wanted to talk about Tim when you said that though.
Sorry. All right, you could talk about Tim. All right, how about this? You talk about Tim being an S tier in terms of like everything that he does.
Yeah. it's interesting.
Obviously, his bagging is
Yeah, if you're not an S tier thrower, he's bagging you.
yeah.
Like 99% of the time. Not every time. We've seen him not catch them, but most of the time. But not only that, but yeah, his movement off the line is S tier. Like his
Bobbling,
and
making catches in the backfield.
Initial contact, backfield. Yeah, he used to play shortstop in baseball.
Yeah.
He's got great hand-eye coordination. He's definitely at least S tier for defense.
Like there's this guy in Japan. I believe he has S tier defense. And he is one of 2 or 3 people that I think could be on like a team, like they could be in the top 10 of USA players. This dude's defense is crazy.
Do you know his name?
Keita.
Okay.
We actually played against him in 2019. You and I did when we went to China.
Okay.
He played on team 2, and he threw a forehand, and it had like a bunch of crazy, like movement to it.
Okay.
But like his defense, like Ume, right? What do you think of Ume's shot? Is that an S tier backhand?
I haven't seen it in so long.
Right.
I do remember it was fast. It was bladey.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like now you're classifying things into a shot. But
That's fair.
If we're talking about offense, I think to be an S tier offensively, you need at least 2 shots.
Or one shot that's...
Unless you have one shot that you throw fingertips every time or something.
Yeah.
Like that's the only way. But
Yeah.
like I think most people who are in S tier have 2 shots. I mean, does Carter have 2 shots technically? Because he's throwing his backhand on Saturday, right?
No.
No.
Yeah, he can throw 2 shots. I can throw 6 shots.
So Carter's that example then where like he's basically got one primary shot,
but
it's so devastating that like you have to classify him as S. Like there's no other way.
Same thing kind of with John Lukey. John Lukey's backhand is crazy, right? Like it's crazy.
John Ledke, S tier offensive.
Yeah. But he's also got a forehand.
That's really great.
Also, you know what? He's also got a thumber apparently that he can throw every once in a while.
Surprising.
Yeah.
I remember John throwing the thumber and I was like, "What?
Hold on,
and
stop."
Like it was he threw some smoke too. Like
That's funny.
It wasn't a butter shot either. It was pretty good.
Yeah. And he can also throw a fish hook.
Yep.
Yeah,
that boy could throw.
Yeah. He's pretty good. He's all right, if you like that kind of thing.
But yeah, I would like to get like a list of people who volunteer to have themselves ranked by this system. Like it's kind of like I don't really want to rank people. Start rattling off.
Sorry, dude, we don't like
that's
you.
stuff that people do as they're driving to these tournaments. Though, I heard like multiple teams talking about like that they were ranking people and like we did that.
Yeah, everybody's got their own rankings. Like, who do you think's better, Will or Ryan? All right, now let's add Michael Binghart to it. So like now they're ranking people by region, and like I'm sure everybody's done that.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done it with Marquette. You do it with everybody. So who's the best assassin?
You mentioned Mike Binghart. I want to bring this up.
Okay.
That
S tier thrower.
I think it's established that I learned a backhand in the last 3 years, and now I'm throwing like just as fast as most top tier backhand throwers. And Mike Banghart's kind of been in and out of, Michael Banghart has been like in retirement for the first half of the year.
I wouldn't say retirement. I would say he's been in hibernation.
Yeah, he's got other things going on.
Yeah,
and maybe trying to get back in shape or like not be injured. Not be injured.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, he comes out to a practice out of nowhere, and I don't know. I've been feeling pretty good about my backhand, And then I saw him throw his staker,
Yeah,
and
it's stupid still.
it
It's still
was-
number one dumb as hell.
I think it might have been as fast or faster than Pat's backhand.
Well, I
Like,
think
it was so fast. But I mean, is he throwing that Sunday if he's been throwing all day? Like,
yeah, that's
another,
true.
That's another thing.
Yeah,
But yeah, that like
he's different gravy.
it was fast, man. Like
Yeah,
ah,
yeah, yeah.
that shot was S tier.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
But-
He's probably got like 3 S tier shots, man. Staker backhand. His flipper's pretty good.
Yeah, he used to have S tier thumber.
Yep. But yeah, it's so. Yeah, Mike's.
So what do
he's
you?
crazy.
I mean, do you think that would be a good idea? Like if, like,
I mean,
what
if people are
there's-
volunteering, sure, but like,
I want it to be a like USA Guts board vote. Like, what if I don't know? Maybe that's too much because
Yeah.
it could just be us. It could be us ranking people and
just throw it out to
people-
the community.
Yeah, we could, if you guys have any votes about this or comments, like just write a comment right now, like in our
Yeah.
YouTube feed or on this video. Like, do you think that we should do this ranking system? So yeah, I mean, I want to know also, should we distinguish it with it's just our opinions?
Yours
Or-
and mine?
Yeah,
Or
it
if
could
we
be
throw it out to
yours
the
and our
community?
opinions. It could be community based, where we open it up for a voting system somehow, where anybody that wants to contribute or vote can. But I think that's kind of a risky game because, like,
I'm going
people
to
have
vote for all my
biases
friends.
yeah, and they'd be like, well, maybe I'm at this level, but I know this guy is at this level, so I'm gonna try and knock him down a peg by voting less for him, or something. Like, it has room for abuse, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's why I feel like it should either be our opinions or it should be the USA Guts board opinion. And I think that would be interesting to have 6 guys. Like, we've got guys from the UP, we've got
Right.
like,
Okay.
people
So
from
I
Lower
would say
Peninsula.
this.
And
Sorry
we
for
all go around in a room and we all rank each person in like sit around for like 4 hours and talk about ranking players that volunteered to be
Yeah.
ranked. And if they're, I think that would be neat.
Well, I don't think that it would be a USA Guts board thing. I would say it would be a
Trusted advisor team or something.
trusted advisor team. Yeah, somebody. Well, first of all, they have to be at all the tournaments.
That's true.
Um,
They got to see these shots.
yeah, they got to be able to see them. They should be people who are playing because they know. Then they'll know exactly what a fast shot looks like, versus like their memory. Yeah, that could be interesting. Maybe we could have 2.
Maybe we could, like, I kind of want some of the blame to be spread. So, like, if we say
So,
something
yeah.
wrong, that it's not just like, well, fuck Will and Ryan.
Yeah. What do they know?
We need to get somebody from the UP, like a third, like a tiebreaker or something, like 3 people. Maybe we could have them in as a guest on the podcast, and we can like just do a podcast episode where we just take the list of people who volunteered to be ranked, and we rank them.
But that means they're opening themselves up to criticism and as much praise.
True. You have to be objective personally and be open to criticism as well. Like, I'm afraid to open myself up, for example, a little bit, like, because
You don't want to know what I gotta think, buddy.
I have certain opinions, but other people might feel differently, and plus there might be people who've seen my slider a lot and they're not scared
they're
of
not
that.
impressed.
Like, nah, definitely not S tier, bro.
Yeah. Sorry, bruh.
But also, like, we could also take the stance that we don't, maybe it's invite only, that we only invite people that we want to rank. Because, like, we wouldn't, if we consider somebody to be like a C player or something, like, nobody wants to hear that. Like,
Yeah.
so we
Yeah.
can, and even people that volunteer, if we can, like, we'll select the people that are A and above.
Mm-hmm.
So if you haven't crossed that threshold, maybe we don't talk about it.
Right. And also, maybe this never happens. We don't know. But it could be pretty fun.
I think we should do it.
Okay. Maybe we'll start with you and me. Hey, let's just say that we're the best. Okay? We're S tier at everything. We'll just do that. Can we do that?
Yes.
All right. Nobody can hear us, right? All right. Sweet.
No, we're not live right now.
All right. Dope.
Do you want to rank each other?
No.
No?
So this is all mostly stemming from like a few internet conversations, and one of the conversations turned to like, yeah, if you move forward, you're moving the line, and I've always disagreed with that because the disc has to go 45 feet 11 inches. If you move forward a half foot and it hits right by your foot or right behind your foot, but it's short of the line, but behind your foot. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, there are people out there that are arguing that's going to be a good shot. And I personally would disagree because the disc has to travel the line. The disc must travel that far.
I think I'm on. Or I'd side with you on that one.
Thank you.
Um,
But yeah, so that's just where, like,
But then
I
if
saw
it's-
that kind of thread starting where they're like, yeah, everybody knows that. And I was just like, I would disagree with that interpretation anyways.
But
Because-
then if the line, isn't moving out front, and like there's another similar issue where like you move forward to catch the disc and it's like a flipper, and you catch it before it turns.
Yep. Then I would say you didn't give it enough time to flip. So that would be a good shot.
That would be kind of crazy, like for somebody who has like a late flipper.
Yep.
And you just dive at it before it gets to the line to make it short every time.
Yeah. So
Sheesh.
so I remember. So I thought of doing this. So I was facing Ron Blau. Ron Blau famously, his shot comes in at 89.9 degrees. Good.
Okay.
And so this was when I was real young. I was like, oh, I'm just gonna put my hand out in front. I've got 2 foot worth of arm here. I'm gonna push it out in front. I'm gonna hit the disc with my hand, and it will be short, or not short. It'll be vertical. And so that happened, and I was like, it's vertical. And Ron was like, you can't do like you attacked it when it was like you didn't give it a chance to flip over. And that went to the observers, and they're like, you didn't give it a chance to flip over. And I was like, all right, that's fair. That makes sense in my brain. Like, even though it was against me, I thought I could pull a fast one, I guess. But yeah, it was like, if you don't give it a chance to turn over, then it's going to be a good shot.
Man, the gray area of guts. We're in it right now.
Yeah, dude. Kind of like the whole, the Malafronte's triangle or whatever, like the gap shot. If you stick your arm straight out and you stick your arm straight up, there's that little bit that's just going to be right out there. Yeah, it's going to hit that corner, and
You can't reach that spot.
you can't reach it.
Unless you jump.
It's literally a perfect shot. And unless you have an observer, you're going to get into an argument because any defensive player is going to be like, yeah, it was out. Yeah, I couldn't reach it.
But you have to take other things into consideration, like were they reaching diagonally?
Yeah.
Because if you reach diagonally, but then like now move your hand straight up and you gain like another 2-3 inches on your reach up. So
yeah, there's probably like a 1
you
foot
need somebody that
like
knows all these little nuances about
worth of area.
calling properly.
Yep.
That that makes a big difference for observers.
Yeah. I think we did that against DM Dragon, and we threw a shot and they all called it out. Dan Gannon called it out, and we were like, no, that hit the
box of Justin.
it hit the box.
I remember that shot.
And he thought about it and he was like, yeah, you know what? You're right. It did hit that box. And he called it in, and I'm sure they were all confused because they're like, you said it was up. Thanks for watching.
I think that's the end of our podcast for today. Thanks for watching, everyone, and stay tuned. We'll be coming out with more videos soon. Like and subscribe.
Peace.
See you.